Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Uneducated Economist. Wanted to share an article with you guys. I'll leave a link down in the description, talking about the downward spiral in liquidity. And this is something that I don't think a lot of people consider when they're buying into the stock market or when they have their stock portfolio. A lot of people will, like, when they say how much money they have, they really don't have any money. What they have is a stock portfolio, or they have like a real estate portfolio, or they have like money tied up in some investment. But they'll say, this is how much money I have. Here's the thing. You don't have any money unless you sell that particular item that you have. That investment, the stock, the bond, the gold, whatever it is you got. Unless you sell that, you don't have any money. The money is when you go to sell. Now, when it comes to the stock market, especially when it comes to things like the S&P 500, a lot of these stock markets are very liquid. And what that means is that if you go to buy and sell, there's almost always a buyer and seller out there. So you want to unload your portfolio, you want the cash, you go to sell at the S&P 500, no problems. There's a buyer out there almost every time. However, according to this article, the amount of liquidity available out there has dropped dramatically, meaning that one person wants to sell, not a problem. But bunches of people start to sell, and there's not enough of a buyer on the other side to fill that trade. So what ends up happening is the prices drop until they find a buyer. Because of that lack of liquidity in the market, you have an extreme volatility. As people who are willing to sell can't find the buyers, they will drop the price till they can find a buyer. And because there's so many people wanting to get into the market, the prices go through the roof. So you have this extreme volatility. Now, if you think about everything that is out there and the prices that they have gone to, used cars, new cars, lumber, all the stuff that's out there, all these things cost ever increasing amounts of dollars. And people look at dollars and say, hey, that is a deteriorating currency, meaning the longer you hold on to it, the less stuff you can buy. People tell me that all the time. Holding cash is no good. Holding cash is trash. Holding cash is the only thing that you need during a market crash. When the markets begin to churn and they are dropping, selling your stock portfolio does not come so easily. Like right now, when everybody's in and the stock market's up and everybody's talking about how great it is, no problem. You can get in and out. But the moment it starts to churn and you want to sell for the price that you're anticipating, like you're expecting right now, you're probably not going to get it. So you'll lower your price. And if you don't get that, you'll keep lowering it until you get out of the market, until you get your cash. So cash isn't trash. Cash is just bad timing if you hold on to it. There are certain times that you really want to be into it. And the most opportune time to be in cash is when everybody is thinking that you shouldn't be there. Just like what we have experienced. Over the last few weeks, coming up until, basically the Fed statement last week, everybody was under the impression that inflation was going to turn into hyperinflation, that prices were going to go through the roof, and the destruction of the dollar was on a one-way street. I disagreed with that. I disagreed with that immensely. And now I'm watching lumber prices drop very fast. And if you had taken your dollars and you purchased the lumber thinking that it was going to continue to go up, you'd be missing out on buying opportunities coming here in just the next few weeks and months. See, sitting on cash was a great idea if you were planning on buying lumber into the future. This is where I'm kind of talking about. Holding cash or being in a cash position right at the very height of the market is where you want to be. Because the moment that the market churns, there's not enough buyers out there, or there's going to be too many sellers, and you will not be able to get out at the price that you were hoping for. You will lose you will lose money on your portfolio. So you want to get out before the market turns. Even though you'd be getting into cash, which would seem at the time to be the worst place you would want to be as prices are increasing. So I look out and I see articles talking about how there's container ships sitting off the coast of LA waiting to be docked so they can be unloaded. Meanwhile, stores, the shelves, are waiting for that merchandise to come in. And the little bit that does come in has so much demand for it that the prices go through the roof. But it's not a supply chain shock it's a supply chain shock, but it's not a supply chain breakdown, meaning that they're not producing enough of it. They're just not transporting enough of it. Once the transportation frees up and all the supply chain starts flowing through the system again, then you'll see the prices come down. Very much like you're seeing in lumber right now. Watch lumber. Lumber is going to do what all the rest of the items that have gone up in price, everything that you have seen that has gone up, being claimed to be from dollar destruction, is going to reverse. Not everything, but most everything. And when all of a sudden, when a flood of items start coming into this country, and the shelves get filled up, and all of a sudden there's more inventory than there is shelf space, you will see the prices drop dramatically. And that's not going to be deflation, although a lot of people will argue about it being deflation, but that's not going to be deflation either. I mean, deflation is occurring. Think about it. It was the expansion of money and credit. That's inflation. The prices are the results of inflation. Soon, we're going to have the Federal Reserve tightening up money supply. They're going to raise interest rates. They are going to do the things that the rest of the countries are doing in order to tighten up some of the credit. It probably will not be as extreme as a lot of people say it's going to be, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. I know a lot of people are going to argue the government can't make its payments if they raise interest rates and all that other stuff. I know. I've heard that argument before. I still believe that the Federal Reserve at some point is going to raise the interest rates. It is going to cause a lot of pain in this nation, and it's going to cause Congress to start changing the way the laws are conducted. But until then, yeah, I see a tightening of the money supply. That tightening of the money supply, that's deflation. The prices will come as a result of that. So you can see the price dropping right now. That's not deflation. That's not because of the Federal Reserve's monetary policies or anything. That is just supply chains becoming more accessible. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. So as these, supply chains start to free up, like I said, the items are going to start landing on the shelf again. And when all of a sudden there's a backstock of items wanting to be put on the shelf that people aren't buying, the prices will come down. I have very little doubt in my mind that that's what we'll see. You can already see things starting to free up. I've said it a bunch of times, and lumber is a great place to look for it, because right now I'm seeing lumber dropping dramatically. And if you go and read that article talking about how the liquidity has pretty much disappeared from the markets, and it's not just the S&P 500, it's like everywhere. This is people getting ready. This is people not wanting to buy into the stock market. This is people who are getting ready to buy the stock market when it crashes. If you think about it, there's so much liquidity at the banks that they have no place to go with it, but yet they don't have enough liquidity in the market. Yeah, something big's coming down here, guys. Anyway, just wanted to share that one with you. Uneducated Economist. You guys let me know.